we're going to start 1 Corinthians 10:14 and following. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. Now, up until this point, he's been talking about the fact that you cannot. And so unity within the body is like one of the key factors in this book, right? Having unity within the body. And so he's talking about unity here. And he's saying that you cannot
but
have...
not unity just for the sake of unity.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could say, unity in the truth of the resurrected Messiah, right? I mean, in the truth. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. And so he's saying you cannot partake of the table of demons and the table of the Lord. And this is his whole point. The way that I understand this is that you can't be going to the pagan temple and participating in the pagan temple and then coming here and being part of this community. That's what I see. Okay, let's read this passage. This gets to the heart of it. Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry. I speak as to sensible people. Judge for yourselves what I say. The cup of blessing that we bless, is it not a participation in the blood of Christ? The bread that we break, is it not a participation in the body of Christ? Because there is one bread, we who are many are one body, for we all partake of the one bread. Consider the people of Israel. Are not those who eat the sacrifices are not those who eat the sacrifices participants in the altar? What do I imply then? That food offered to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything? No, I imply that what pagans sacrifice they offer to demons and not to God. I do not want you to be participants with demons. Okay, so the institution that is being referenced here by Unashamed of Jesus is this reference in 14 and so on. The cup of blessing that we bless, is it not a participation in the blood of Christ? The bread that we break, is it not the participation in the body of Christ? Okay, so let's hash this out, because this is one that has stumped me for quite some time. And I'm not going to tell you that I think that I've figured it all out. What he does here, though, is, okay, let's go back to Luke 22:19. He says, do this in remembrance of me. Okay, what is he talking about? In the next chapter in 1 Corinthians, Paul's going to reemphasize this, but he actually informs us that there's two cups. Now, scholars have debated ad nauseum whether or not Paul screwed up. Maybe he re-references the first cup. No, I think that there's two cups, and actually Dennis Smith has done excellent work on this. He's literally written the book on the Deipnon. Deipnon just means like banquet meal or supper, okay? And basically what happens, let's walk through this real quick. At any Greek symposium, okay, any Greek Deipnon meal that's a formal meal, they have what's called a triclinia, and that is tables or couches, basically, that you lay down at, are round tables in a U shape, okay? They start the meal, and they offer, within the Roman society, what they would do is they would take a cup, and they would offer, they would sanctify a cup to a pagan deity. They would eat their meal proper, and there might be other cups throughout the meal that would be like sanctifying unto different things, okay? But then at the end of the meal, they would end their meal with another another cup, another specific sanctifying cup, okay? And then there was different kinds of meals, but in the philosophical Deipnon, then somebody would get up and give the oratory. They would give their exposition on something, okay? Yeshua, now, what people in the Torah movement have not wanted to do is admit that anything could be cultural that's not like Jewish culture within the scriptures. And I totally reject this. The Last Supper is clearly a Deipnon. It's clearly modeled after the Roman Deipnon. There's no doubt about it. They do the exact same thing that is happening in the Deipnon. Okay, and this isn't bad because it's not a pagan thing. It would be like saying, well, you know, Americans eat with a fork and a knife and not with chopsticks. And then if you see somebody eating at church with a fork and knife, you say, "Oh, that's pagan because you're not eating with chopsticks." No. It's like culture dictates these kind of things. It's not necessarily wrong or not. It's just cultural. So anyway, the Last Supper is a Deipnon, and they have two cups. They have a cup that begins it. And I have done research to try to show that The breaking of bread is to start a meal, to bless the meal. So this is representative of the meal. The cup itself at the beginning of the meal, I believe, is a representation of the meal proper. At the end, the cup that is at the end of the meal is like the bookend to mark the end of the ceremonial meal. Okay, so you have the cup at the beginning, you have a cup at the end, and we see this in 1 Corinthians. And so what Yeshua does is he takes those two cups and he takes the bread at the beginning, and he says, "Do this in remembrance of me." This is not saying bread and wine. What he's saying is this meal, this entire meal, do this in remembrance of me. That's what the two cups and the bread represent. They represent the ceremonial meal of the Passover. And he says, do this in remembrance of me. So I'm convinced that Luke 22:19 is a specific reference to the Passover. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.